point down below, and we're going to slice it right down the middle and just let that fall right through there. Take a look at that smoke ring. Take a look at that juice. I don't want to squeeze all the flavor out. Great bark, great smoke ring, amazing juices. This is a perfect brisket. I'm telling you that right now. Let's go ahead and take a slice of it. See how good she tastes, right? To go. Oh man. Ain't nothing wrong with this brisket right here. Little salt, pepper, garlic, a little hint of onion there at the end of the taste. So the lid's on the smoker. It's starting to get nice and warm. This is trimmed up. If you didn't see my competition trim video, I'll put a link down below. This is all trimmed up. The smoker's getting warm. And now I'm just gonna make sure that my seasoning's nice and mixed up. This is my favorite, SPG Plus. So it's got salt, pepper, garlic, some onion, celery salt, all that good stuff, and it's thick granules. And so I just like to, you don't want to shake it up too much or the heavy stuff will fall and it just won't be very even, so I spin it around like this. Okay, so that's nice and even. And then I'm going to get it opened up and we're going to flip it over fat side because we want to hit this fat side first with our seasoning. This is a huge piece of meat. That's what she said. This is a big piece of meat. You can get it really good and well covered without ruining it. You can put a lot of seasoning on this bad boy without hurting it, okay? Of course, we're in West Texas and the wind is blowing as always, so I'm gonna be seasoning my table as much as I am this brisket. Make sure you get all your sides. I like to shake it ever so often just to make sure it's not separating down in there. Give it a good press. Flip this big piece of meat over. Alright. So on this side I actually open my bigger shaker side because I want to make sure I get a lot of coverage on this side. That's when it's important that everything's mixed up really well. Okay. So we're going to start putting it down. And guys, if you don't like the onions or anything like that, see, I like onions, chunks of onion, granulated onion on mine. But it's all up to you. It's your personal preference, right? You can get this thing nice and covered down. And I've seen guys even literally dredge this in a bucket of their rub. Pull it out. I want to make sure none of that's getting caked in there. I hate that seam, but you know, that's what I get for not going and visiting my local butcher and just buying it from a big box store. So we'll get that all on there, and what's not soaked in will fall off when I pick it up, so I'm not real worried about that. And this is going to be cooking for a while, so it's just fine. Alright, so this bad boy is ready to be covered up and thrown on the smoker once it gets up to temp. Okay, it's been about 45 minutes this brisket's been on, and it's been on the Ugly Drum smoker with the top temperature sitting at right around 300 degrees. So let's go ahead and pop the top and take a look at it. So it's right around where I thought it would be after about 45 minutes. Really nothing to spritz. It's containing a lot of its own moisture. It's catching some of that smoke. It's catching some flavor. It's catching some color. So we're gonna put that lid on there nice and tight for another 45 minutes to an hour. 45 minutes later. Anyways, 45 minutes later, time to go ahead and open that up and take a look at our brisket. She's taking on some really good color. She's taking on some smoke, and I know that she's grabbing a whole lot of that flavor in there. If you'll notice, the brisket long ways has shrank and it's puffed up a little bit, and that high heat in an ugly drum smoker cooking hot and fast right around 300 degrees will do that. It'll make it plump up. So it's got a really good shape. It's capturing a lot of smoke, capturing a lot of flavor. I'm not going to spray it yet. That rub still looks like it's holding on to some moisture, and I want to really build that bark up a little bit better before I start spritzing it with Worcestershire sauce, apple cider vinegar, and water. So, you know the drill. 45 minutes to an hour. We'll be right back out here. It's been about another hour, so let's go ahead and get this top taken off and take a look at our brisket. As you can see, this brisket is looking really, really nice. It's got some bark to it. It's got that good looking color to it. So, right now I think what we're going to do is we're going to take our multi-element spritz. It's equal parts water, apple cider vinegar, and Worcestershire sauce, and we're going to spray that bad boy down. Then we're going to close it up and leave it for another 45 minutes. Guess what? It's been another 45 minutes. Let's go ahead and pop this top and see how this brisket looks. We can see our brisket has a great bark to it. It's really capturing flavor and color and smoke. So at this point, we want to go ahead and check our internal temperature and see what it looks like. So because I like the way this bark is looking, I'm going to go ahead and probe it with my Inkbird thermometer. And we're going to see that our internal temperature is hitting right at 160. So because of that, I'm going to go ahead and get my foil ready and prepped so that we can wrap it up. For us to be able to wrap this bad boy in foil, we really want it to be able to hold juices, because once it's wrapped up, we're going to put some beef stock in it. Just pour it down in there. So take your 2 pieces of foil that are roughly 24 inches long. I like to use the wide foil. And see, this is a shiny side and this is a dull side. I put it to where the shiny side will be facing the brisket for both of them. So you face the shiny side together. I apologize about all the wind and the noise that it's causing with the foil. So you line this edge up right here and fold it over, kind of like what you would do with a rib wrap. Fold it over, and then you fold that half in half, and then you fold that whole thing over one more time. And what I like to do is just kind of crinkle the corners, and that just kind of locks it into place. That way, your shiny side is in. I honestly don't know why I do shiny side in, but I do shiny side in. So we're going to get this opened up. And ready for our brisket. We've got our brisket pulled. Let's get this moved over to one side, because I'm going to fold this all the way over nice and tight, and I'm going to roll these sides up. I'm going to crimp that that corner. You want to make sure that you don't tear your foil when you do that, because you want to keep all the juices in that you can. Now we got this pocket, shiny side in, this pocket of brisket, so we can pour our beef stock in, okay? So go ahead and crank open your beef stock. I shake it. I don't know if you're supposed to shake it, but I shake it. Pour, I don't know, this is 4 cups in the box, so I pour about 2 cups in there. Call it goodsies. And then I wrap her up to seal her up real nice like. Alright, so take your hot meat package and put it back on your smoker, and we're going to start checking it every hour, because we don't have to check it every 45 minutes now. That moisture is going to be contained. That bark is where we need it to be, so we're going to set it for every hour and check on it till that internal temperature gets right around 200 to 210. Remember, when you're cooking hot and fast, you want to go higher than normal. The most important thing isn't necessarily internal temperature. How easy can you probe that meat? If it'll poke in like warm butter, that thing's finished. And you'll see that because we trimmed it up, we made it level and flat. The flat and the point are cooking at the same amount of time this way. A lot of people get one overcooked and one undercooked because one's way too big and there's a big hump or the air can't flow through it evenly. So it's super important that we trimmed it up the way that we did. I'll see you in an hour. We can start poking our meat. It's been 1 hour. It's been wrapped up for an hour. It's been sitting in that smoker, that ugly drum smoker, wrapped up at about 300 degrees for an hour. It's starting to get late and it's starting to get dark outside. I had to kick on the lights. So let's go ahead and open this up and check it out and see what the internal temperature looks like. Obviously it still looks like a pouch of foil. Let's go ahead and probe it with our Inkbird thermometer and see how it reads. Looks like it's reading right around the 170 mark. So I know we've got at least another hour in here wrapped up. We'll see you back here in 1 hour. Okay guys, so it's actually been about an hour and 45 minutes. I checked it about an hour and the temp was at like 199, 200, but it just wasn't the probe soft that I really wanted it to be. It was still pretty stiff all the way across. Now remember, when you're cooking around 300 degrees, hot and fast, you do have to take it up over that normal 200 to 210 mark before it does start getting probe tender. Usually it's closer to 210, 215 degrees before it's probe tender. But again, we're not worried about the numbers as much as we're worried about how easy it is to poke our meat. So let's go ahead and take a look. Nice and easy. Nice and easy. Nice and easy. Nice and easy. So let me go ahead and take a look and see. We're sitting at about 210, maybe 211. Yep, 210, 211. Oh yeah, it's poking nice and easy. Now you'll notice it's in a pan, and it's in a pan because when I probed it about 45 minutes ago, it started leaking, and so I put it in a pan just to kind of catch that au jus sauce. Now you don't want to lose the au jus sauce. That's your deliciousness. So we kept that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this out and I'm going to sit it over here on my table, and I'm going to cover it with a towel for about 30 to 45 minutes. Never, ever, 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 never cut your brisket up, steak, whatever, as soon as you pull it off the smoker, grill, whatever. You gotta let it rest. That meat is all tensed up And as it rests, it relaxes, and those juices absorb back into it, and juices contain flavor. So we're going to let it rest. Okay? I'll be back in 30-45 minutes. I'm going to slice it up. So we've got the brisket out, and it's been resting for a little while, like I said, so now it's time to slice. And you see that giant gouge in there from the butcher. Appreciate that, Sam's Butcher. Let's go ahead and slice this bad boy up. Of course, I'm going to slice it right down the middle and then take one off. Of course, we've got the flat here and the point down below, and we're going to slice it right down the middle and just let that fall right through there. Take a look at that smoke ring. Take a look at that juice. I don't want to squeeze all the flavor out. Great bark, great smoke ring, amazing juices. This is a perfect brisket. Prime brisket with a simple SPG rub. Can't go wrong, guys. It's absolutely amazing. If you want to see how we trim this up, there's a link down below. Take a look at those trim videos. Take a look at the rest of our videos. If you haven't liked and subscribed, make sure you do that. Click that subscribe button, ring that bell, comment down below what you'd like to see us do next. Drink more water.